Picture this. It's a quiet night in a small town. The kind where the streets fall silent and every shadow feels alive. The kind where something ancient and unseen might be watching. Sometimes the world gives us stories that defy explanation. Stories where logic fails and all that's left is a gnawing sense of dread. This is one of those stories. The story of the Hexham Heads. I am the guardian of time. This is the Timekeeper of Forgotten Tales channel, where we always recount forgotten stories and historical events. Today, I want to tell you about the Hexham Heads. Our tale begins in 1971 in the unassuming town of Hexham, Northumberland. Two small, peculiar stone heads were unearthed by two young boys, Colin and Leslie Robson, in their garden. At first glance, they appeared harmless, each about the size of a tennis ball, crudely carved to resemble faces. One was thought to resemble a skull, while the other looked more human. Innocent playthings, perhaps? Far from it. From the moment the heads were brought inside, the Robson household experienced a wave of eerie occurrences. Objects moved on their own. Strange shadows danced along the walls, and the family heard unsettling sounds in the night. Then came the most chilling report: a half-man, half-wolf creature seen prowling near their home. Glasses were broken and shards of glass were found under the children's pillows. One night, when all the family members were asleep, the mother of the family heard one of the children screaming. She quickly went to his room. The boy was saying in fear that someone had touched his hair. The boy suddenly stared somewhere, pointing with his finger. The mother turned her head and made eye contact with the werewolf creature. Jessie Robson, the mother of the family, tells in her interviews with the BBC about nights when she would suddenly start screaming while she was sleeping. Before I tell you a fact about the town of Hexham that is directly related to this incident, subscribe and guess in the comments what is going to happen to this family. In the historical tapestry of Hexham, there are dark threads woven with tales of wolves prowling the night, where unfortunate cattle often fell prey to these stealthy predators. The herders of Hexham would find their dead cows, and there would be wolf claw marks on the cows' bodies. Before we get back to the Robson family, to understand the Hexham Heads, we must delve into the past. Hexham is steeped in history and legend. Northumberland has long been a land of druids, Roman legions, and ancient pagan rites. Some speculate that these heads date back to pre-Christian times and were used in rituals. Others suggest they were Celtic charms meant to ward off evil, or perhaps invited in. Let's go back to the Robson family. A few days later, these things happened to the Robson family's neighbor. After the police realized that these things were serious, they decided to move the stones to the local church. But after a week, the nuns, like the Robson family, began to hear strange noises and see the shadows of the werewolf. The nuns had many nightmares every night and complained a lot about it. It was ultimately decided that the heads would be transferred to the University of Southampton for research. The heads were handed over to Dr. Ross, an expert in ancient Celtic culture and paganism. After observing the heads, she realized that they could be related to Celtic culture, because in Celtic culture, the head is the seat of the soul. Although she believed that the heads did not possess any unreal magic, she realized what had happened to her family after the heads entered the house. A few days later, her husband Richard, who had to stay home due to illness, called her and said that their daughter had locked herself in the room because she had seen a horned, shadowy creature. Dr. Ross, about that day, said,
"And our teenage daughter, she came to it and she looked extremely pale, and terribly shaken. A black thing, which she described as being as near a werewolf as...
Dr. Ross, who was away from home on a mission, realized after the phone call that these heads could pose a danger to his family. She returned home as quickly as possible and delivered the stones to the university warehouse so that they would be safe from the outside world. The heads were kept at the university for 7 years, but that's not the end of the heads' work. Their fate takes a strange turn. During these 7 years, a lot of research and experiments were conducted on these stones. Another point is that these 2 heads are not the only ones that have been found, but none of the other heads have brought any strange events. These investigations and experiments yielded no results. After 7 years, an engineer named Frank Hite purchased the stones for $100,000. Frank had a great interest in surreal things. He actually didn't do this just out of interest. He had ideas. He wanted to use a Faraday cage. Unfortunately, no information has come out of his experiments. There are 2 strange things. First, after a while he contacts the university director and says that he is getting results that could be interesting. He also says that as soon as he gets complete results, he wants to present them to the university members at a conference, but he died in 1984. After his death, they look for the heads, but unfortunately, they were disappeared. There are theories about these heads and these events. Some say that Frank discovered the secret of these heads, and that the reason for his heart attack was a terrifying encounter with this werewolf creature. Other people believe that the heads have no supernatural powers, and that the stories are merely fabrications designed to gain fame and attention. But many people in Hexham believe that the heads are curses from evil forces due to the town's past belief in paganism and Celtic rituals. The man in this photo is one of the other people involved in these heads, and we will show you his story in a short video in the coming days. Be sure to write your theories about this strange event in the comments. Every week, we will reveal forgotten tales from history and reveal undisclosed secrets, and subscribe if you want to know the untold secrets of history.